Guys, have you heard testimonies or stories of a member on traditional Medicare, maybe a Plan G, Plan N, Plan F? They go in to get routine benefits covered and Medicare denies the claim. And then when Medicare denies it, their Medigap denies it also. And they call you and they say, hey, you told me this Plan F would cover everything. And it didn't. And it really didn't because Medicare denied it, which brings up the question, why is Medicare denying preventive routine care? Great question. Let's dig into it. This is Solve Your Medicare Minute. All right, this happens more often than people would like to think, and it's usually from a lack of education either on the agent or a lack of understanding on the client side. Remember, Medicare doesn't cover things just because they're routine, even though maybe your group plan did. Medicare only covers certain things that are preventive that have been defined by them. And there's a major difference between preventive care and diagnostic care, right? The two different ways that you could bill for something that's on Medicare's schedule. The moment, though, that the line gets crossed from preventive into diagnostic, now Medicare's covering. But if it doesn't get crossed, they actually might not cover what your claim is or what they're being billed for. Excuse me. So here's what Medicare does very clearly define and covers preventive, as long as it's by their rules. So they do an annual wellness visit, not a physical, certain screenings, blood pressure, diabetes screenings if you meet their criteria, cholesterol screenings, cancer screenings, colonoscopies on their set timetable. And all these things are covered as long as, number one, you meet Medicare's criteria, and number two, it's on their timetable, or what it's been X amount of months since they last covered it. So remember, this preventive has nothing to do with symptoms or a diagnosis. That's diagnostic. So there's not this extra testing that's layered in. It's what Medicare bills on their preventive screening timetable. Now, if you've never heard of this Medicare preventive screening timetable, essentially it's how many months are in between when Medicare will pay for a preventive benefit and when they won't until they will again, right? And a lot of agents get tripped up, especially when they think of a member that's walking into a clinic and they're going to have something done that on their group plan, they would think to themselves, this is just routine, and sit down with their doctor and they mention, I got a lot of fatigue or joint pain, or I've been feeling dizzy, or something's off. I feel like something's wrong with me. And that's the point when that office visit could flip from preventive to diagnostic. So you're sitting in a doctor's room and it's your same primary care you've been forever, and it's the same room you go to for your yearly wellness visit, except this time you're being billed diagnostic rather than preventive, right? Maybe to give you a better or more clean example, you've got a member who goes in for a wellness visit. That doctor orders routine blood work, so maybe their lipid panels, which Medicare will pay for every several years, right? But during that visit, your member mentions symptoms, maybe even casually, just off the cuff, that they're interested in talking to the doctor about. And now those labs are no longer going to be preventive screenings. Now they're diagnostic to test for the symptoms. And that's where Medicare will come in and pay, but instead of covering 100% on a preventive basis, now it's diagnostic, and the Part B deductible applies, and Medicare's 20% coinsurance applies after the deductible. And sometimes the physician will have your will have your member sign an ABN, and member probably doesn't even know what that means. Essentially, it's them waiving their rights to understand Medicare may not cover this bill, right? They may or may not cover this bill, depending on what is being billed. And you, the member, now will be responsible for what Medicare does and or does not cover. Once you sign that ABN form, that Advanced Beneficiary Notice form, the financial responsibility then becomes that of the members. If I was to take a practical, takeaway from this to educate clients, make sure they don't assume routine coverage always means covered. They need to ask, hey, is this preventive? Is this diagnostic? If they receive an ABN, read it carefully. Don't just sign it, read it. Understand when you start announcing symptoms, now you're changing the bill, because that's currently how Medicare operates. And it's not that your member's doing something wrong. It's just it's how Medicare's system works. And that's why you as the agent are so valuable to educate people on what matters after their enrollment period. Maybe we should go into why Medicare doesn't cover routine annual physicals, or why labs are the number one source of surprise bills with those ABN signatures, or maybe how Medigap would fit into this situation. But as of right now, I think you're okay.